Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a seriously deep dive into a fascinating and honestly wildly chaotic Manhwa universe. We are looking at a world that is entirely governed by video game mechanics. Imagine navigating a modern hyper-capitalist society, but instead of relying on, hard work, grinding out a 9 to 5, or traditional business savvy, you are handed a literal gamified interface called the perfect life system. That is exactly what happens to our protagonist Shen Yuan. It's a universe where human connection, bitter revenge, and absolute financial dominance are all just boiled down to stats, multipliers, and system notifications. It is a wild ride, so let's get into it. To truly wrap our heads around the tone of this narrative, we really just have to look at this quote straight from the source material. Bros like an aimbot locking on any target that moves. I mean, that is just so perfectly descriptive, right? It establishes this hilariously clinical, hyper-transactional approach that our protagonist takes toward everything. He doesn't navigate romance or wealth like a normal human being. Nope. He navigates them like a hyper-competitive speedrunner trying to break a role-playing game. Everyone he meets, literally everyone, is essentially evaluated as a potential target for his system. He turns everyday, normal social interactions into calculated, high-yield financial investments. It's totally absurd, but it's brilliant. So here is our agenda for today's explainer. First up, we'll look at the bankrupt protagonist. Second, we'll unpack the triple money system. Third, farming affection points. Fourth, buying prestige and revenge. And finally, we will break down the infinite escalation loop. All right, jumping right into Section 1, the bankrupt protagonist, starting at level 1. Now, every great power fantasy needs an inciting incident, right? A moment where things just couldn't possibly get any worse. Well, here are Shen Yuan's starting stats on day 1, and he is at absolute rock bottom. His family's business has just completely collapsed, gone totally bankrupt, leaving them buried under a mountain of debt. We're talking creditors literally banging on the door. And as if that wasn't enough, he is immediately abandoned by his girlfriend Wanting. And she doesn't just leave him, she explicitly tells him their relationship was never about love, and she dumps him the exact second his family's wealth vanishes. Brutal. On top of that, he's humiliated by his peers, and he literally cannot even afford the basic hourly fees at his local gaming cafe. This total, crushing loss of both social and financial status, it serves as the absolutely perfect high-contrast motivation for everything that comes next. It fuels this escalating power fantasy built purely on a desire for revenge and infinite wealth. Moving right along to Section 2, the triple money system, the core loop. So just when Shen Yuan is at his absolute lowest, scraping the bottom of the barrel, a mysterious, magical interface awakens for him. It's called the perfect life system. And the definition of this system is just wild. It is a gameplay mechanic where money spent on targets with high affection is tripled and instantly deposited back into the user's account. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer logic-defying absurdity of the economic model. It completely inverts the very concept of spending. Usually, you spend money, you have less money. But here, the more extravagantly he spends on specific people, the richer he instantly becomes. It is literally an infinite money glitch masquerading as extreme generosity. Let's actually walk through the steps of this gameplay loop, because it's pretty straightforward. Step 1, find a target with a high baseline affection or attraction score. Step 2, spend money on them. Step 3, the system automatically triples the money spent and drops it right into his bank account. Now, Shen Yuan's initial test of this mechanic is actually quite funny. He takes what feels like a massive risk, buying a luxury bag for his teacher just to see if this whole system thing is actually real. And the moment she accepts it, boom, he watches the 3x cash multiplier instantly hit his bank account. From that single, defining moment, the rules of his reality are completely rewritten. This perfectly illustrates the crazy contrast between the regular economy and the system economy. In a regular economy, obviously, you spend to lose wealth. But in Shen Yuan's system economy, he spends to generate an instant 300% return on investment. And you better believe he immediately weaponizes this for revenge. Picture this. He's in a luxury mall, and he runs into his ex-girlfriend Wanting, the one who just dumped him. And she's with her new, wealthy, older boyfriend. To humiliate them, Shen Yuan drops over 100,000 yuan on designer bags for another girl, Manhwa, right in front of their faces. To anyone watching, it looks like an incredibly reckless, stupid flex of wealth. But because of the system, that spiteful, petty purchase generates an instant, massive cash profit for him. It's brilliant. Which brings us to Section 3, farming affection points, the heart economy. You see, to keep the money flowing, Shen Yuan needs to keep those affection scores high.
Characters in this universe, they're essentially treated as NPCs meant purely for stat farming. Just look at these escalating financial investments. For Manhwa, it starts off relatively small, luxury bags and nice dinners. But then there's Chenna, a car saleswoman he literally just met. He buys a 600,000 yuan BMW M9 from her in cash, and then shortly after, buys an entire 300,000 yuan cafe just so she can be the manager and quit her sales job. Then there's Meng Lu, a fitness trainer. He drops 2.5 million on a luxury car for her. He isn't building traditional, organic relationships here, not at all. He is injecting massive, calculated amounts of capital into these targets to actively manage and raise their heart or affection scores. It is entirely transactional.
And here's exactly why those scores matter so much. So the crucial point is that affection acts exactly like an experience bar in a video game. Getting a target to 60+ points yields basic system rewards and, maintains that sweet 3x cash flow. But pushing an NPC's affection past the 90-point milestone, that unlocks massive, completely game-breaking system rewards. We are talking about high-tier lottery tickets, million yuan spending vouchers, and even physical stat upgrades. Like, he gets this ruthless skill, which literally allows him to instantly master physical activities. The game totally changes at 90 points. Now, to put those high-tier rewards into perspective, just look at this number, 6.8 million. That's not a typo. That is the staggering payout in yuan that he wins from a lottery ticket. And remember, the system granted him this ticket purely because one of his target's affection scores hit 90 points. In a matter of days, he generates enough liquid capital to completely wipe out his family's massive bankruptcy debts. And he does it simply by min-maxing and optimizing his spending on his targets. It's like he's playing life with the cheat codes turned on. All right, let's look at Section 4, Buying Prestige and Revenge, Expanding the Empire. As his empire expands, the system throws a curveball and introduces a new metric, prestige points. This is a secondary currency, and it's earned by investing in societal projects, which then allows the user to unlock new talent attributes. Because of this new mechanic, Shen Yuan's spending strategy has to violently pivot. He realizes he can't just buy luxury bags and sports cars forever. I mean, he could, but it wouldn't level him up. To increase his prestige, he has to start injecting millions into real estate, tech startups, and major academic initiatives. The scale of the game gets so much bigger. And the return on investment for these prestige actions, it is completely asymmetrical. For example, he decides to drop 10 million yuan on a university entrepreneurship program. Now, in the real world, dropping 10 million yuan on a university program is a massive philanthropic risk. But in the perfect life system, his reward for this action is being gifted 100% of the shares in an established, massive corporate healthcare group, complete with medical clinics and high-end gyms. Just like that, he goes from a guy buying handbags to becoming a venture capitalist and a full-blown health mogul overnight. No business degree required. The system also starts directly dictating his lifestyle choices. At one point, it gives him a prompt stating, "A perfect life requires a home. A man must own property." It literally forces him into the real estate market. And how does he respond? Oh, he just casually drops nearly 3 million yuan on a massive medieval-style mansion. He uses it as a lavish home base for his growing roster of romantic interests. And of course, he gains millions more in system cashback the very second he signs the deed. The system tells him to jump, he jumps, and he lands in a pile of cash. This leads us perfectly into Section 5, the infinite escalation loop. Game broken. Let's just take a quick step back and look at the absolute breakneck speed of this power scaling. And this brilliantly illustrates just how crazy the pacing is. On day 1, he is entirely bankrupt, humiliated, and dumped by his girlfriend. Day 2, he is buying a 600,000 yuan BMW M9 in cold hard cash. Day 3, he buys a 3 million yuan luxury mansion. By day 4 and beyond, he owns a cafe, acts as a high-level venture capitalist, and owns a massive health business empire. He literally goes from begging for spare change to acting like a titan of industry in less than a standard working week. Talk about a productive few days, right? And the reason this rapid scaling happens is because of the infinite loop. Here is how it breaks down. Step 1, buy incredibly expensive gifts. Step 2, target affection stats increase. Step 3, the system grants millions in cash, new skills, and entire businesses as a reward. Step 4, use that newly generated massive wealth to buy even more expensive targets and bigger businesses. It's an infinite economic glitch. And honestly, it completely removes any real stakes or tension from the story because the protagonist has essentially hacked the mechanics of capitalism. He literally cannot lose. We can clearly track this rapid leap on this chart. He starts at absolute zero.
Nothing. Just days later, that lottery win spikes him to 6.8 million. A short time after that, through pure system cashback from buying houses and cars and dropping cash on people, he's sitting on 32 million yuan in liquid savings. As the sources point out, he is rapidly preparing to buy private jets and luxury yachts in the blink of an eye. There is no ceiling here. The limit literally does not exist.
So what does this all mean? Well, what we are ultimately looking at here is the ultimate modern power fantasy. It's a really fascinating, neutral look at a specific subgenre of storytelling that takes the unpredictable, stressful, and chaotic nature of real-life success, building relationships, starting a business, accumulating wealth, and it turns all of that into a perfectly rigged video game. It is the literal gamification of human connection and transactional success, where every single input you make guarantees a massively multiplied positive output. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought. In an era of endless hustle, incredibly complex economies, and totally unpredictable social dynamics, is the ultimate fantasy simply living life with the cheat codes turned on? It is a truly fascinating reflection on modern digital escapism, and it perfectly explains why these hyper-gamified, system-based power fantasies are just spreading like wildfire and are so wildly popular today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. It's been a blast, and I will see you on the next one.